There I am. I'm just looking at my text. Sorry. How was your day?
Good. Very good.
Hello.
Hi, Mario.
Hola.
Good evening.
Good evening. We're on Eruvin Lamed Test 39. Lo yitayl adam al Pesach Medina kadesh yikanes lemechatz miyad. You can't walk from a distance to, let's say, the entrance to a city, either on Shabbos or Yontif, near Motzei Yontif or Motzei Shabbos, because you want to be close to, let's say, a bathhouse, which is there. Remember, we said yesterday, Rava said that if you didn't say something to make your Eru, you just went there physically with your body and didn't make any statement, that would not be considered Hachana. But here we're saying, in this brisa, that by preparing yourself, by being close at the end of Shabbos to a city, so you can be close to the Beis HaMerchatz, it's also Asr. I thought if without Dibura, there's no Achana. Here there's no Dibura, yet it's Asr. So the Gemara says, Hadar Bey, did Rava go change his mind? Lo. Shamale v'lo Hadar Bey. He heard this, but he didn't change his mind by Eruv. Hasa muchamilsa. When you go to your field to check on what the field's doing on Shabbos, so nobody can misinterpret what you're doing. And the Torah says, Mimtzoch hafatzecha, don't do. And the same thing when you walk to the opening of a city on, near Motzei Shabbos, on Shabbos, so everyone knows what you're doing. But walking to your tchum, we don't know what you're doing there. You could be going to meet somebody, right? So there, by going with your physical body, it'll make the Eruv. Even if you don't say anything, it's not considered Hachana. Because Itzur Rabbanu, and Shmaitzu Mashkech. If he's a Talmid Chacham, people will say, he's going to listen to a good shiur. Maybe he lost his donkey, he's going to look for his donkey. There's other reasons why he's walked to that area. And it's not clear that he's doing it specifically for the Eruv. Gufa. If you didn't go with food, you went with your body on the first Thursday night, which is Erev Yontif, to set up your Eruv to the east. Ma'arev baraglav b'sheni. He can be ma'arev, he can do the second Eruv Friday night, also with his feet. Erev v'pas b'yom rishon, ma'arev v'pas b'yom sheni. If you made an Eruv with bread the first day, you can make an Eruv with bread the second day. And Erev v'pas b'rishon, ma'arev baraglav b'sheni. If you used bread the first night, you can make the Eruv with your body the second night. Now, Erev baraglav b'rishon, if Thursday night, Erev Yontif, you went with your body to make your Eruv, and then Friday night, you wanted to do it with bread. Ein ma'ar b'pas b'sheni. Why? Shein ma'arvin b'tchila b'pas. With bread, you can't do that because that's clearly hachana. Amar Shmuel, but uba also hapas. If you use the same loaf of bread, Thursday night you got to use the same loaf of bread. Friday night. On Ravashi, dekanami. Must be some diktani, because it gave us the prescription. Kate said, well, he said, you take the same bread Thursday night, you let Yontif fall, then you take it with you so it doesn't get eaten. Ubalo, and Basheni Mashech Halav Ochlo, the second night, use the same piece of bread, but you eat it. Ubalo. Now, Rabbanon said there's no raya from that mission because maybe Eitz Tova Kamash Malon, it just gives you good advice that you're going to be able to eat the bread. you're gonna benefit from eating the bread, but not necessarily that you have to use the same bread. Mishnah. Very apropos to us. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rosh Hashanah. Shahaya Yuresh Shema Tisaber. So Rosh Hashanah Minat Torah was one day. And in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the calendar wasn't fixed. They would have to wait for Eidim to come and give testimony to Beis Din about the new moon. So Rosh Hashanah was so the lunar month is 29 and a half days. Lunar months have either 29 days or 30 days. So Rosh Hashanah is either going to be 30 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul or 31 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul. It means if Elul was a 29-day month that year because Eidim came already on the 30th day and saw the new moon, and therefore Rosh Hashanah is that first day. That's it. It's one day Rosh Hashanah. If the Eidim didn't come, then Rosh Hashanah would have been the 31st day after Rosh Chodesh Elul. Now, let's say Erev Rosh Hashanah. They were not certain whether Rosh Hashanah was going to be tomorrow or the next day. So he could set up a conditional Eruv for both days, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Ma'arev Adam Shnei Eruvin. Ve'oimer. Eruvin Barishon Lemizrach. For the first day, Rosh Hashanah, I want my Erev to be to the east. V'sheni L'mayrev. Barishon L'mayrev, V'sheni Lemizrach, or vice versa. Or Eruvi Barishon V'sheni Kivneiri. I want to have an Eruv on the first day, but I don't need an Eruv the second day. Or Eruvi B'sheni, I want an Eruv for the second day. Barishon Kivneiri. However, the Chachamim are going to hold that this 2-day period, this 48-hour period, is considered one kedusha. It's a yoima arichta. To understand the sheet of the Chachamim, we have to understand that, let's say we're talking about 30 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul, and Eidim show up at noontime. So there was a Tamid Shel Boiker and Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim, and the Leviim would sing a shir based on, let's say, Rosh Hashanah is Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever the shir Shel Yom is that day. So the Eidim never used to come in the morning, but they would come, let's say, midday. So at least by Mincha time, instead of singing the shir for Tuesday, by Mincha, they would sing the shir for Rosh Hashanah, because Eidim came, they saw the new moon the previous night, so today's Rosh Hashanah, tomorrow's not Rosh Hashanah. However, one year, they sang the shir for Tuesday by Mincha time, and the Eidim showed up after Mincha time, and they said, it was Rosh Hashanah today. So it's called Niskalkalu Ashir. So from that year on, they made a takana. We don't accept Eidim from Mincha, and meanwhile, how did people fear themselves on that day? They kept it Yontif, because they weren't sure that maybe the Eidim would come and today would be Yontif. So nobody did Malacha. So they made a takana that even that first day has to be treated as Yontif, even though we know Eidim are going to come. But if they come after Mincha, Rosh Hashanah is tomorrow. So, but they invested the first day also with Isser Malacha. So it became a 2-day Yontif. And it's one long Kedusha, one long 48-hour Kedusha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no. We know for sure that Rosh Hashanah is only one day. If today is Rosh Hashanah, then tomorrow is not Rosh Hashanah. If tomorrow is Rosh Hashanah, then today is not Rosh Hashanah. And therefore, that's why you can make these Tanoim, it's 2 Kedushos, and there's also no Hachana. Because we're going to see, he's going to make a Tanai that if today is not Rosh Hashanah, then let my Eruv be for tomorrow, and vice versa. So the Chachamim don't agree with Rabbi Yehuda that it's 2 days, or that it's only 1 day Yontif. It's 2 days Yontif, lechatchila. And that's why, of course, we have, this was even for people who lived in Yerushalayim, they didn't know whether the Yedim are going to come. This is not like, for example, the 15th day of Nisan. So in Bavel, they used to keep 2 days Yontif. Why? Because the Eidim, who had designated a certain day as Rosh Chodesh Nisan, did not make it to Bavel in time to let them know whether Pesach that year should be the 15th or the 16th. So they kept both days. Same thing for Sukkot. Shavuos is different because it's connected to Pesach. So, because it's 50 days after by the Omer. So, and so our 2-day Yontif is, once we set the calendar in place, we know the first day is Yontif, the second day is not really Yontif, but minig avosinu b'yadeinu, we keep 2 days Yontif. But the Chazal made both days Yontif, completely like the same. Therefore, when we make Kiddush, we say Shechianu the first day Yontif Pesach. We say Shechianu the second day Yontif Pesach, because both days have been invested with full Yontif. Rosh Hashanah is not so. Rosh Hashanah has been set up so that it was a 48-hour Yontif L'chatchila. That's why the Shechianu that you make the first night of Rosh Hashanah, Mamish should hold for both days, because it's one long Kedusha. So we say Shechianu the second day, and we make sure that there's a new fruit, or there's a new tie, or you're wearing a new suit, or something. Okay. V'odam Rav Yehuda. Masna Adam al Kalkala B'Yontav Rishon V'Ochla B'Sheni. So you have a basket of fruit, which is Tevel. Trumas and Maasros have not been given. Now you're not allowed to give Trumas and Maasros on Shabbos. You're being metaking, which you can't do Shabbos and Yom Tov. But what you can do is you can make a Tanai on the first day of Rosh Hashanah and say, look, if today is really a weekday, so the Truma, this basket will be Truma for the other fruit. And if Im Hayom Kodesh, and if today is really Rosh Hashanah, then Ein B'Dvarei Klum. Then I haven't said anything. Because you're not allowed to take Truma on Yom Tov. Because it's a Shavuos. And then the next day, you would say, if yesterday was Yom Tov and today is Chol, then that which I said, this basket should be Truma, today it'll be Truma. So you can't eat any of the fruit on the first day, but you can eat it on the second day. And you end up giving Trumas and Maasros on Rosh Hashanah because you're making this T'nai, because one day might be Chol, one day might be Yom Tov. Now that's only going to work according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that one day is Chol and one day is Yom Tov. V'chein beitza shenolda b'rishon te'achol b'sheni. So we know if an egg is laid on Shabbos, you can't eat it that Shabbos. It's noilad, and we'll see that there's 2 reasons. We'll learn tonight why they were geyser like that. So the Beitza also, according to the Chachamim, that it's one long Kedusha, if an egg that is laid on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, I can't eat it the second day because it's one long Kedusha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he can make the same tonight. If today is Chol, then I can prepare from Chol to Yom Tov. I can eat it tomorrow. I can't eat the egg today, but I can always eat it the second day. Right? But again, lo haidu lachachamim, because the Chachamim hold that it's one long Kedusha. Rav Doisa ben Hurkanis Oimer, ha'oiver lifnei ha'teva b'Yom Tov shel Rosh Hashanah. The Chazan is going to daven by the Bima on Rosh Hashanah. We'll say Hachlitzenu Hashem Elokeinu es Yom Rosh HaChodesh Hazeh, Im Hayom Im Lo Machar. Rav Doisa had this takana like Rabbi Yehuda, that Rosh Hashanah, the first day is either Chol and the next day is Yontif, or the first day is Yontif, the next day is Chol. So they would make mamish a t'nai in the tefillah. If yesterday was Rosh Chodesh, it should be then today's. If yesterday was Rosh Chodesh, it should have support. If today's Rosh Chodesh, it should have support. L'machar hu omer im hayom im which refers to yesterday. However, in all of that, lo hodu lo chachamim, because the chachamim say it's one kedusha. Now, man loy hoidulo. Who is the chachamim that argue with Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yossi, it's Rabbi Yossi. Titania, moedim chachamim Rabbi Yezer Rosh Hashanah Shaya Yorei Shemet Yisabir. That the chachamim who argued with Rabbi Yezer by the Eruv in the previous Mishnah, here they agreed regarding Rosh Hashanah. They've also held, not Rabbi Yossi, but chachamim other than Rabbi Yossi, held that Rosh Hashanah was either Chol or Yontif. Wasn't one long kedusha. Therefore, Ma'arev Adam Shnei Eruvin, V'omer Eruvi Barishon LaMizrach V'Shen LaMayru, Barishon LaMayru V'Shen LaMizrach, Eruvi Barishon V'Sheni Kivnei Iri, Eruvi V'Sheni V'Rishon Kivnei Iri, like the Mishnah said. Rabbi Yossi Omer Oiser. But Rabbi Yossi did not allow to make two Eruvim. One Eruv that you can lay at the beginning and it works for both days. Armel and Rabbi Yossi, Yatem Moedim, She'imbo Eidim in Amin Cholamalo. If the Eidei Re'iyah came on the 30th day after the previous Rosh Chodesh, but they came after Mincha, Shenoi Hagin Oyesem Hayom Kodesh U'Lomachar Kodesh? You agree with the Chachamim's concept that they kept the first day Kedusha as well. I think it's very valuable to read this Rashi, very fundamental Rashi. The Ksovar, Lav Mishum Sfeika. This has nothing to do with Sfeika Sayom. The Shema Ba'u Eidim B'Yom Shloshim Sofek B'Yom Shloshim Ve'echad L'Chudei Itkin. They didn't do it because they weren't sure what day they're going to come. Ela Af Mishum Shema Ba'u Eidim and Amin Cholamala Itkin. They were concerned that even on the 30th day, the Eidim would come late. Still, Tarvayu Kedishi. The Chachamim instituted that both days would be Kodesh. The Omer Rabbanon, Shahayim Mitzapim B'Yom Shloshim Shel Elul, the people waited all day on the 30th day from the last Elul, Shema Yavo Eidim, Shenir Salvanabo. Vikachu Bezdin HaChodesh Hayom. And Bezdin would make Kiddush HaChodesh, and today would be Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, Naihagin Oiso Hayom Kodesh, that day, the 30th day, they kept holy. Isra Malacha. Shema Yom Tavu. Vitanya, Tamid Shel Rosh Hashanah, Shachris Karv Kil Chasu, Tamid Shel Chol, Bashir Shel Chol. If Rosh Hashanah was Tuesday morning, so they offered a regular Tamid, and they sang the Shir Shel Yom for Tuesday, which is why we on Rosh Hashanah also sing the Shir Shel Yom of that day. Hamatukum L'Yom Ba'ashir. Shayal Vimon Rim B'Mikdash B'Yom HaRishon Chule Chule B'Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim. However, when they offered the afternoon Tamid, Oimer Shir Acher Hasiroisi Misebel Shichmo, they said the Rosh Hashanah one. Kinamirim Perik Bas Rosh Hashanah. However, in Bo Eidim Achar Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim, if the Eidim showed up after the afternoon, Shekvar Korev B'Shir Shel Chol. I'm serious. Hasiroisi Misechel Shichmo is also the Shir of the Chol. So they said the Shir Shel Chol because the Eidim hadn't shown up yet. So they thought it was Tuesday. Then the Eidim showed up after Tiknu Shiu Makachim HaChodesh Mochar. Once the Eidim didn't come by the Tamid, they automatically said, oh, tomorrow's Rosh Hashanah. Even though the Eidim show up 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they say we saw the Chodesh last night, it's really today. they didn't accept the Eidus, and they were Masakin Rosh Hashanah tomorrow. Umiyom HaMachras Moinin Kviyaso. It's from the next day that you start counting Rosh Hashanah and say the proper shir. K'dei lo yomar shir aroy liyomtiv. Umikol makom gomer yom shloshim nohagim kodesh kitchilaso. Even though we don't accept the Eidim after Mincha, they kept that whole day b'kedusha. Shekach tiknu shiyu nohagim osa yom kodesh. Vafilu gomru shel yom. Even at the end of the day, they knew that Rosh Hashanah was going to be declared tomorrow, and L'machar Kodesh. So therefore, harachoiking mi bezdin, people who live far from Bezdin, even Yerushalayim, noihagim shnei yomim toivim, but lav mishum sofek niris levana b'yom shloshim v'avisheni chol sofek b'yom shloshim v'echad v'avirishon chol koyavim. It's not like we do. Because it's a suffix whether the Eidim came. Ela mishum shema bo Eidim achar tomit shel ben arbayim v'nogu bezdin shneim kodesh ko'avdi al mosh shneim kodesh. It's a 48-hour yontif. Very, very fundamental Rashi, which explains this. Rashi you can put in your index. This explains why Rosh Hashanah is different than the other Yomim Tovim, the other 2 days of Yom Tov. This Rashi. So Rabbi Yossi said to them, don't you agree to this? So they agreed. So Rabbanon Hasam ki hechidol zalzubei. Yeah, they agreed, but it wasn't done midin Torah. So Takonos Chachamim that there shouldn't be zilzul next year on Yom Tov Rishon. But me'ikra din, it's a Yom Chol. That's how the Chachamim learn. And therefore, you can use these tricks of making a t'nai on this day for the next day. The Adam Rav Yehuda, so Rav Yehuda gave multiple examples in the Mishnah, not just about Eruv, but about Beitza Shenolda Bezu, and the basket of Truma. So why do I need all three cases? Tricha. Diashmin Rosh Hashanah. If it only tells me the case of Rosh Hashanah by the Eruv, how come Rav Yehuda Mishum Deloko Avid Midi? Person's not really doing anything. He's just walking with his body. Doesn't have to say anything. Aval Kalkala, where you physically have to separate Truma, the Mechzi Kimetakin Tivla, Emamoid Rabbanon. Maybe you wouldn't allow it. Yashmina Hani Tarti, if I'd have those two cases, Mishum Delekala Migzar Layu, because there's no reason to be Geyser. Aval Beitza. Now, the whole concept of why a Beitza Shenolda on Yontif can't be eaten on Yontif, because there's very strong Zeras. The Iker Lemixer Bamishum Perus on Noishrim. So, one Mandomer in Masech the Beitza holds that an egg has to be viewed like fruit that falls from a tree. You're not allowed to use a fruit that falls from a tree on Yom Tov, because you might come, if we allow you to use it, you might come to pick the fruit. So some say that when a chicken drops an egg, it's like a tree dropping a fruit. And then there's another Manda Omer who says Mishum Mashkin Shizavu, that if you see lemon juice that has drained from a lemon, so you're not allowed to drink that on Yom Tov or Shabbos, because we're concerned you're going to come to squeeze the lemon. So since Beitza that is noiled on a Yom Tov or Shabbos can't be eaten on that day because of these Gzeras, maybe Moidilul Rabbanon, maybe Rabbi Yehuda will be Moidil there as well. Tzricha, no. Show us how Matir Rabbi Yehuda is in that case. Tanya, Ketzad Rabbi Yehuda, Masna Adam al Kakal B'Yontav Rishon. He can make a t'nai on the basket for truma on the first day. V'ochla b'sheni, eat it the second day. And how does he do it? He has 2 baskets of untied produce. If today is a weekday, and tomorrow is Rosh Hashanah, so I'm allowed to separate truma today. Tezu truma alzu. If today is Rosh Hashanah and tomorrow's chol, then ein b'dvari klum. Then what I said doesn't hold. The Korah Hashem, he has kriyas Hashem that it's truma umenicha. He leaves it, doesn't need it. Ulamachar hu omer, im hayom chol, if today really is a weekday, and yesterday was Rosh Hashanah, tezu truma alzu. This should be truma for that. Im hayom kodesh, but if today's Rosh Hashanah, yesterday was chol, but I already made kriyas Hashem yesterday. So today's vort ein b'dvari klum. The Korah Hashem v'ochlan, he can eat on the second day because this Tanai works. Rabbi Yossi Oyser, because he says both days are 1 48-hour long kedusha. He also assered, for example, 2 days of Pesach, 2 days of Shavuos, 2 days of Sukkot. I'm reading Rashi. However, if a goyla oisin shnei yom, Ven yoidin hikvu tishrei v'nissen b'yom shloshim or b'yom shloshim ve'echad ve'afa gavdim mishum safek. So there it's clearly 2 days because of safek. The chad minayu chol, and it's clear that one of these days is not yontif. Afilu hachi machmir b'hu Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi was machmir, and a beitza that was noilad. Afilu hachi machmir Rabbi Yossi, a beitza that was noilad on one day cannot be used the second day. Because even by regular yontif, like Rosh Hashanah, he gave it a full kedusha. Hanat Rosh Hashanah lo karilahu shel galiyos. Normally, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah we don't call it shel galiyos because even in Yerushalayim they held 2 days. They have Yerushalayim pan mayunas in shnei yomim. Like we said, shabo edim amin cholam Allah. Hahu bar Tavia. We paskin like Rabbi Yossi by Rosh Hashanah that you can't lay 2 eruvs, that you only can lay 1 eruv because it's 1 kedusha. Kedusha has 48 hours. Hahu bar Tavia. There was a deer. The asala be reish galusa. They brought it to the reish galusa. The ischid beyond of rishon shel galiyos. Goyim had hunted it on the first day of Pesach. The ishtachet beyond of sheni, and a shoichet shechted it on the second day of yontiv. Normally, you can't ask a goy to do something for you that you can't do. So if you can't hunt, the goy can't hunt. However, you could use it after bichdei sheyaseh. If you have to wait for the period of time that it would take you to hunt, then you could use it. So Rav Nachman, Rav Chizda achlu, they ate from the deer. Rav Sheshes loy achal, Rav Sheshes did not eat. On Rav Nachman, my ovidel Rav Sheshes to loy achal bisru de tavia. Rav Nachman wanted to know why Rav Sheshes didn't eat. It seems like Rav Sheshes was holding it's a kedusha achas, even by not Rosh Hashanah, but by the 2 Yomim Tovim. Normally, Rav Sheshes, how did you eat? The Tani Isi, because Isi taught for Amilo Isi Tani, the Chenaya Rabbi Yossi Oyser Shnei Yomim Tovim Shel Galiyos. Rabbi Yossi didn't just hold that the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah was 1 long kedusha. He held the same din by the 2 Yomim Tovim of Yontiv. I'm a Rav my kushya. What kind of problem? Dil ma'achi kamer v'chenai Rabbi Yossi b'shnei Yomim Tovim shel Rosh Hashanah b'goyim. That he's not correct. Really, Rabbi Yossi only holds by Rosh Hashanah. Ihachi shel Goliath. Why would you call Yomim Tovim shel Rosh Hashanah shel Goliath? You'd say Bagoyla Baboyla. Amar Avasi, my kush Yom Achi Kamer. Chena Rabbi Yossi Oise Isur Shnei Yomim Tovim shel Goliath Kishnei Yomim Tovim shel Rosh Hashanah. That Rabbi Yossi made the 2 Yomim Tovim of Pesach or Sukkot like the 2 Yomim Tovim Rosh Hashanah. The Rabbanon, the Sharu. They're those. So Rabbanon, the Sharu, Ashke Rav Sheshes, Rav Bar Shmuel. So Rav Sheshes saw Rav Amalei Tani Mar Midi B'Kedushos. Did you hear something said about whether it's 1 Kedush or 2 Kedushos? Amalei Tanina. Moed Rabbi Yosef B'Shnei Yomim Tovim Shel Golius. He admitted by Yomim Tovim Shel Golius. We didn't know what he meant though. Amalei Mishkachas Lahu Lo Temahu V'Lo Midi. Do you find Chacham who argue with me? Don't say anything. I don't want to be embarrassed because of the makor that's why I didn't eat. By the way, the Shulchan Aruch Paskins, Baal Chaim Shenitzu B'Yom Rishon Shel Yom Tov, Mutter La'achlo B'Sheni, B'chtei Sheyaseh, as long as you wait a period of time, as long as it would take for the goy to hunt it. Yesh Machmirim, Less or Ad L'Motzei Yom Tov Sheni B'chtei Sheyaseh, Michashash Shema Yomer B'Yom Tov L'Goy La, because maybe it's a Gzeira, you'll tell the goy to bring it. We're noeg l'machmir, and we are makel if we have orchim. Okay, very good.